Jesus Christ. Is this what all the Looksmaxers are aspiring to look like? Am I Chad Light yet? This shit is actually so cursed. Am I frame mugging it? I'm literally glowing. Look at this. Look at the back of his head. Wait. Oh man. Okay.
You know the Nine, how they guide our fates with an invisible hand.
What the hell are you saying to me, man?
But in your face I behold the sun's companion. The dawn of Akatosh's bright glory may banish the coming darkness.
What would Akatosh think about this? Okay.
Take the amulet. Give it to Joffrey.
Let's take a minute to dissect this, shall we? The Emperor had a dream about this face. Decided to break me out of prison for probably committing atrocious crimes and entrusting me with delivering an amulet. I've been given the mission to deliver the Amulet of Kings to Joffrey. But as I stepped outside and smelt the fresh air, saw the clouds hovering overhead, the sun reflecting off the water, I knew that deep in my heart somewhere, somehow, some way, this is not what I was destined to do. Like Mama said, follow your dreams, boy. Like my mom used to always say, you have a face only a mother could love. When I was just a boy, my mother kissed me on the forehead and put me in a basket and sent me down the river. Inside of my bassinet was a note. Get this boy to a plastic surgeon, stat. I then grew up and committed atrocious crimes against humanity. From my teen years to my early adulthood, I was imprisoned for crimes that I shall not mention. While I sat in my cage rotting, being pestered by the prisoner across the hall, I heard my mom's voice echo out. Escape, my son. Find a plastic surgeon. Fix your face. I took it upon myself to barter off the Amulet of Kings that I was meant to deliver to Joffrey in order to pay for my cosmetic surgery. I was destined to be a true Adam. If you approached a stranger and instead of politely greeting you, they screamed in fear and attacked you, how would you react? For God's sake, man, this man is a cat, and he is sickened by my looks. Instead of relating to me, he swings on me. While I was on my travels, I found a book, The Immortal Blood by Anonymous, and then I realized that Anonymous was my mother's maiden name. The moons and stars were hidden from sight, making that particular quiet night especially dark. The town guard had to carry torches to make their rounds, but the man who came to call at my chapel carried no light with him. One of my acolytes brought him to me, and from the look of him, I at first thought he was in need of healing. He was pale to the point of opalescence, with a face that looked like it had once been very handsome before some unspeakable suffering. The dark circles under his eyes bespoke exhaustion, but the eyes themselves were alert, intense, almost insane. He quickly dismissed my notion that he himself was ill, though he did want to discuss a specific disease. Instead of being cursed with one ailment, he had a plethora. Recessed maxilla, negative canthal tilt, low nasal projection, recessed mandible, subhuman jaw, overbite cuck look, vertical growth victim, chinlet, bug eyes, flat philtrum area, lopsided skull, receding hairline, 5-head, malnourished mid-faced, no zygotes, collapsed palate, mouth breather arch, prepubescent brow, and a soy jaw, to name a few.
Hail, citizen. I speak for the Emperor. Or at least I did. I'm confiscating your stolen goods.
Stolen goods? What the hell did I steal? Do you see what I mean? He's planting evidence. If I was a good-looking man, this wouldn't happen. God! In order to acquire the funds, I must do everything in my power to obtain as much wealth as possible. As much as I hate to say it, that involves stealing. Mere petty crimes compared to what originally put me in the joint. On my travels, while in search for a cosmetic surgeon, I found myself in Fort Urasek. You're a sack? No, I'm a sack, okay?
Wait, what is going on?
Try something like that again. Stop burning yourself. Stop burning yourself. Taking a dirt nap, huh? More like a fire nap, huh? Wanna take your ashes and I'm gonna sell them. This one is a pet crab, please. This is not good. All of that for nothing. Are we serious? Wow, some ale. What are you looking at? After massacring a whole bloodline of goblins, walking in on what seemed to be some sort of swinger party, wasting half of my lockpicks and health potions in an attempt to defeat the head honcho of Fort Urasek, we once again arrive at the surface. My treacherous endeavors amassed me a measly 109 gold points. It was then that a rumor came to me in a whisper, much like my mother's voice before. Your quest hasn't gone unnoticed by the Mog gods. We have always admired such devotion to our cause. Head to Neben Bay. Investigate the strange doorway as your forefathers have before. I must leave you now. Go forth, subhuman. Your purpose lies within. Mustering up what little courage I had left, I traveled onward. I knew what my purpose was. But what if the Mog gods were lying? What if there was no room left at the monastery for another member, and this was some sort of trap? And in my moment of doubt, I saw what looked to be an abandoned mineshaft in the distance. As soon as I approached, I was ambushed by a gang of goblins and wolves. It's not normal for these creatures to mingle. Hired hitmen? I thought to myself. I quickly brushed this off and came to the conclusion that there must be something of value inside. Gold, emeralds, diamonds. I was quickly overcome with greed. Upon entering, I was hit with a Home Alone style booby trap, further disfiguring my face. Deeper inside the mines, I spotted a chest, one of many. Despite the fog seemingly warding off every other creature, and the goblins that I fought on the way in here told me that this may be a ploy to deter potential treasure hunters. Another booby trap? I thought. I decided to press onward. I took the 11 gold and chuckled to myself. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. I spotted an ore. Silver. Not quite the diamond or gold that I had anticipated, but I'll take what I can get. Around the corner there were a few LTN goblin henchmen, one trained in archery, and the other deaf and or blind. After breathing nothing but fumes while clearing the mine shaft, I came to the realization that I was lost. I started to feel dizzy, disoriented. I almost accepted my fate, but then I saw a glimmer of light. The exit. Almost dying in there made me remember something my mother told me before she sent me down that river. Tales of long ago about my late grandfather, an alchemist by trade. He was working on a potion to fix my deformities, but by the time my mother had placed me in the bassinet, it was too late. I was as good as gone. He died not long after. Failed double jaw surgery, I'm told. If it weren't the surgery, the crippling debt the procedure would have put him into would have killed him regardless. The pestle and mortar I had stolen off those goblin scum seemed like the answer to the question I didn't know was being asked. Bone meal, mort flesh, rat meat, Chad potion. Miscalculating my measurements, I instead made a damaged potion. Disappointed, I took this as a metaphor representing how I truly feel inside. Damaged. After traveling some nights and days through treacherous valleys and mountains in search of the mysterious doorway that the Mog god spoke so highly of, I began to grow even more wary. It was there that I spotted her, the most beautiful creature I had ever laid eyes on. The locals called her Accusations. I hid behind a rock trying to regain composure and to dress accordingly. The first interaction is the most important, I thought. I need to make a good impression. Donning my best suit, the sun reflecting off my pale skin, I mustered up the courage to approach with caution, stupidly looking around to make sure it wasn't another Looney Tunes style booby trap. Hello, madam. I don't wish to intrude, and I hope I'm not too forward in saying you're the arrow I need in my life. So, my lady, what brings you around these parts? Oh, you think I'm the most handsome, cute, and sexiest thing you've ever laid eyes on? I was thinking the same about you. We hit it off immediately. It was like it was destined to be. Two paths intertwining at the perfect time. A crossroads we didn't know was coming in our lives. Her eyes were that of a baby seal's. Hair, like a wild stallion running freely through an empty field. She had this white, flower, frilly dress on, signifying she came from royalty. We fell madly in love, and from that day forward, we were what the young folks call going steady. I stayed a while. She said that her dad was a testosterone manufacturer and was against his daughter dating someone with low T. I told her my veins were pulsating with pure testosterone, hence the hairline. Still, she said we should be discreet for now. I agreed. We'd meet every day at the same spot. We played hide and seek like two lovers entwined. I'd collect apples, and I'd give them to her as gifts. It seemed as though my past worries were merely minor inconveniences. I was glowing with love. I was at peace. I was happy. But that's when she told me the bad news. It can't be! I fell into a depressive state, secluding myself to the spot where we first met for days. It took me a while to shake these blues, but when I realized how foolish I'd been acting, I trained for days, doing parkour on a nearby rock. I punched a nearby rock. I didn't want to stoop to violence, though I knew it were a possibility. I quickly changed into my best armor, preparing to confront her father and explain to him that we were madly in love and that it was unfair to tear us apart. Even the cruelest man in the world couldn't be that evil. When I felt ready, I approached. I understand you plan on moving, but know this. I will have your daughter's hand in marriage, and you cannot tell me otherwise. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but one day she will be mine. I didn't even give him a chance to speak. I sucker punched him where it hurt most. I called him a beta, and quickly ran away. I kept my distance for a few days, knowing my actions may have upset her, and then I returned to where we first met. Emotions washed over me. What have I done? Who have I become? I ran to her house, picking up every apple I could find along the way to show her how truly sorry I am. At some point, while discussing our future together, she had mentioned that her family was staying at Fort Sejanus, and that's where I headed. Ironically, that's how I felt inside. Like an anus. Upon entering, I spotted her sister, high fructose corn syrup, or Belinda for short, as well as their goblin butler. I approached, asking where Accutane was, mistakenly calling her a cutie, a nickname I had given her. Her sister didn't even let me finish my sentence before attacking. On the kitchen table was a note addressed to me. By the intercession of Saint Alicia. Alicia was another nickname that I had given my darling Accutane. By the intercession of Saint Alicia, you may be so filled with grace and the strength and wisdom that comes from grace, that though these teachings you may come to the true meaning of the 9 divines and their glories, to convey to man's mind all the manifold subtleties of truth and virtue may not be done, where all the sea's ink and all the skies, the parchment upon which their wisdoms were writ. Yet Accusations, in his wisdom, knowing how impatient is man, and how loath he is to travel upon the hard roads of truth, has allowed these 10 simple commandments to be made manifest with powerful clarity and concise definition. She left me for Accusations. Before she could list the 10 reasons why he was better than me, I stopped reading. I could not stomach anymore. Is this some sort of game? First the Emperor, and now my sweet darling Accutane. Why is Accusations doing this to me? Is Accusations the reason I look this way? While looking around for answers, I found a strangely labeled item, a pewter cup. As in, pewter griffin? As in, my mom's going to take my computer away? Strange. I never thought she or anyone she associated with would own such an item. Sickened, I threw it away. Speaking of pewter griffin, this reminds me of my stay in Paris. The fog began to roll in. Why is her house so vast? It made me feel like there was something she wasn't telling me. I'm in what seemed to be catacombs. I got a gut feeling that something wasn't right here. As I turned the corner, I was ambushed by a skeleton. Its head, though tempting, I decided not to keep as a souvenir. Did Accutane live in a haunted house? Was Accutane a ghost made by Accusations to trick me this whole time? I began to lose sight of my main objective. I approached her father's headquarters. An unsettling feeling was rapidly growing inside. If I knew her father was a man of the occult, I would never in a million years have sucker punched him in the esophagus. I must now face the consequences of my actions. Is this where her father slept? Was I in love with a vampire? Had I been bitten? That would explain my pale complexion and my affinity to darkness and my fear of silver bullets and wooden stakes. Medium rare, please. Onward I ventured into the Accutane estate. The hallways were eerily quiet, but I had a feeling that was about to change. It was there I stumbled across a bedroom, with nothing but a bedroll on the floor. My sweet Acuities room. My sweet Acuities room, I thought. I came to this conclusion because why else would it be empty if the prior residents hadn't evacuated, driving the point home that I will never get her back again. Nearing the exit, I seemed to feel myself being left with more questions than answers. After massacring the whole Accutane lineage, including the in-laws, I set my sights on my main quest, the mysterious door. Deer, goblin, flower, everything reminds me of her. Every corner, I thought I saw her. Accutane, Accutane, is that you? Accutane. I sat and stared at the moon. I sat and stared at the moon for a while. It looked particularly lonely tonight. Without my sweet Accutane here to count the stars, it seemed pointless. As I was approaching the horizon, I saw what the Mog God spoke of, the mysterious doorway. But getting there would be no easy feat. I would have to swim. Luckily, while I was in that bassinet rolling down the river, at one point I capsized. I had to learn to swim at a very young age, so this would be a piece of cake. As I swam, I saw the great statue of the old god, Gigachad, built years ago to honor the god by the same name. Outside, one of the Mog God's guards were attacking a subhuman. I knew this was where I was meant to be. I entered the mysterious doorway only to be greeted by Haskill. It was there my hunch was proven correct. An elaborate ruse led on by my arch nemesis, Akatosh. He spoke to me in a very condescending manner. I had been punked.
You speak as if they are diseased. They live now in another state of being. Perhaps it is you who needs a cure.
In a fit of uncontrollable rage that I've had since I was a boy, part of the reason my mother sent me down that godforsaken river to begin with, I retreated to my old ways. I found the nearest village I could. Overcome with emotions, I did the unthinkable, pillaging a small village, slaughtering everything that got in my way. The carnage came to an end when I was approached by a guard. In an effort to complete the quest given to me at birth, I lost sight of the end goal, and instead of saving enough money for a plastic surgeon, I was in crippling debt. I was too ashamed and overcome by guilt to further worsen my situation by resisting arrest, and that's how I got here. And just like that, we're back where we started, a prison cell. I didn't want my life to be this way. I spent the majority of my life in prison, and that's where I'll probably spend the rest. Though the fresh air was nice, I can't say that I regret it. This is where I belong. You know, I kind of like it in here in a weird way. My meals are prepared, I'm on a tight schedule, all my friends are here. I've been locked up since I was a boy. This is all I've ever known. And as I sat and pondered for the last time, I realized there's more to life than looksmaxing.